The station was silent in a way that felt wrong. Not the calm silence of space, but the heavy silence that came after suffering had already happened. The lights flickered above broken corridors, and the air smelled of burnt metal and old fear. The human medic moved slowly, stepping over shattered tools and overturned tables. His name was Elias Ward, though most people on the ship simply called him Doc. He was not a famous soldier. He was not a hero in the stories told back on Earth. He was just a man trained to stop people from dying, even when the galaxy decided they should. This outpost had belonged to a minor alien research group. They were not warriors. They were not important in the eyes of the Empire that ruled this sector. When the Empire moved through, it crushed places like this without pause. The human fleet arrived too late to stop it. All they could do now was clean up and search for survivors. Elias checked his scanner again. Weak life signs. Almost gone. He followed the signal down a narrow corridor until he reached a small medical room. The door was half open, bent inward as if forced. Inside, most of the equipment was destroyed. Beds overturned. Cabinets smashed. One bed, however, remained in the corner, hidden in shadow. A thin blanket covered the small shape on it. Elias approached slowly. He had learned long ago that survivors were often afraid. He lowered his voice, even though he wasn't sure she could hear him. "It's okay," he said softly. "I'm human. I'm here to help." There was a weak sound, not a word, more like a breath trying to become one. He gently lifted the edge of the blanket. What he saw made his chest tighten. The alien girl was small, even by human standards. Her skin was pale blue, marked with darker patterns that looked faded, as if the color itself was giving up. One of her arms lay at an angle that should not exist. Her legs were wrapped in crude splints that had failed. Her breathing was shallow and uneven. Her eyes opened slowly. They were filled with pain and fear, and something worse, hope that had already died. She looked at him and swallowed with effort. "Kill me quickly," she whispered. "Please." Elias froze. He had heard many things on battlefields, screams, cries. Last words, but this was different. This was someone asking for death not out of fear but because living hurt too much. He checked her vitals. The scanner beeped softly. Multiple fractures, internal damage, nervous system shock. According to most galactic medical standards, she was classified as non-recoverable. He knew what the Empire would do. He knew what most allied species would do. End it. Efficient. Clean. Logical. Elias lowered the blanket back into place, not because he wanted to hide her injuries, but because she was shaking. He adjusted it to keep her warm. "No," he said quietly. Her eyes widened a little, confused. "No," she whispered. "No," he repeated. "I won't." She let out a broken sound, something between a laugh and a sob. "You don't understand," she said. "My bones are broken, all of them. I can feel everything. My kind, we don't heal like yours. There is no fixing this." Elias pulled a small light from his belt and examined her pupils, still responsive, still fighting. "Humans understand pain," he said, "and we understand refusing to accept it as the final answer." She looked at him, truly looked this time. "You are human," she said slowly. "They said humans waste resources on the dying." He almost smiled. "Yeah," he said, "we do." He activated his comm unit. "Doc Ward to medical command," he said. "I've found a survivor, severe condition. I'm requesting immediate evac clearance." There was a pause. Then a voice answered, calm but distant. "Vitals, critical," Elias said honestly. Another pause. "Species, non-aligned alien," Elias replied. Silence again, longer this time. "Doc," the voice said carefully, "you know protocol." Elias did. He looked at the girl again. Her eyes were closing, exhaustion pulling her under. "I know," he said. "I'm breaking it. You're asking for resources we don't have. I'm asking to save a life. She's listed as non-viable." Elias' voice hardened. "So were humans once." The channel went quiet. Finally, the voice returned. "You have 15 minutes, that's all I can do." Elias didn't wait for more. He lifted the girl carefully, supporting every fragile part of her body. She cried out softly, then clenched her jaw, trying not to make another sound. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I know it hurts." "Why?" she asked weakly. "Why help me?" Elias carried her through the corridor toward the shuttle bay. "Because someone should have helped you before it got this bad," he said. "And because humans don't decide someone's worth by how broken they are." The shuttle doors closed around them. The engines hummed to life. As they lifted off, her eyes fluttered again. "I am not important," she said. "I am only a data runner. I failed." Elias secured her to the medical bed and began administering stabilizers. "You're important because you're alive," he replied. "And you didn't fail. You survived." Tears formed in her eyes, clear drops sliding down blue skin. "No one ever said that to me," she whispered. The shuttle docked with the human ship moments later. Elias rushed her into the medical bay, where human doctors paused when they saw her condition. One of them shook his head. "Doc, even with our tech," Elias met his eyes. "Try," he said. "That's an order. And if it fails after we give everything." The room filled with motion. Machines activated. Human systems hummed and adjusted, adapting in real time. Bones were scanned. Nerves mapped. Damage assessed not as a final sentence but as a problem to be solved. The alien girl drifted in and out of consciousness. For the first time since the pain began, the screaming inside her body softened. Not gone, but quieter. She felt hands holding hers. Warm, steady. "Don't let go," Elias said gently. "We've got you." Her grip tightened weakly around his fingers. "I thought humans were monsters," she whispered. Elias leaned closer. "We can be," he said, "but today we're not." As the medical bay lights dimmed and the machines worked tirelessly, something changed, not just in her body, but in the future of the galaxy. Because one human had looked at a broken alien girl and refused to agree that her story was over. The medical bay stayed awake long after the rest of the ship entered night cycle. Soft lights glowed over machines that hummed in steady rhythm. Human doctors moved quietly, their faces serious, their hands careful. They did not rush, but they did not slow down either. They worked with the kind of focus that came from long years of refusing to give up. Elias stood near the edge of the room, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the alien girl lying on the medical bed. Tubes and sensors were attached to her fragile body. Transparent displays showed shifting images of her bones, her nerves, her organs. Red warnings blinked constantly, but slowly, very slowly, some of them began to turn yellow. A senior doctor stepped beside Elias. "She's still critical," the doctor said. "Her species doesn't respond to treatment the way we expected." Elias nodded. "But she's responding." "Yes," the doctor admitted. "That's the strange part. Human medical systems were not perfect. They had limits, but they were designed with one core belief: the body could adapt if given enough support and time. Where other species classified damage and stopped, humans experimented, adjusted, and tried again. Inside the girl's body, tiny machines moved carefully through cracked bone and torn tissue. They did not force healing. They encouraged it. They listened to her biology, learned from it, and changed their methods moment by moment. Hours passed. The girl drifted between sleep and waking. Pain still existed, but it was distant now, like a storm heard from far away. She felt warmth, steady and constant. She felt safe. When her eyes opened again, the first thing she saw was Elias sitting beside her bed. He had not moved. She swallowed. Her throat felt dry. "Human," she whispered. Elias leaned forward immediately. "I'm here." "Am I?" she hesitated. "Alive," he smiled softly. "Very much so." Her eyes filled with confusion. "That should not be possible," she said. "My people, when our bones break like that, we fade." "Then your people were never given a real chance," Elias replied. She studied his face. Humans looked strange to her. Their eyes were intense, their expressions open in ways other species avoided. There was no hidden calculation in his gaze, only concern. "Why are they still working on me?" she asked. I am weak. I carry nothing of value. Elias shook his head. You carry yourself. That's enough. She closed her eyes again, overwhelmed. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Outside the medical bay, things were less calm. A meeting was underway in the command chamber. Human officers stood around a circular table. On the central display floated the symbol of the Galactic Authority. An alien representative appeared as a tall, armored figure with glowing eyes. The presence of the survivor is unacceptable, the representative said coldly. She is classified as terminated. She is alive, the human commander replied. That classification is incorrect. She carries sensitive information, the alien said, information that destabilizes order. The commander folded his hands. Order built on silence is not order, it's fear. This is not your concern, human. It became our concern the moment you broke her. The alien's eyes narrowed. Humans are inefficient, emotional. You protect the weak and call it virtue. Yes, the commander said simply. We do. The connection cut abruptly. The room was quiet. They're going to push back, an officer said. Hard, the commander nodded. Let them. Back in the medical bay, Elias noticed changes in the girl's readings. Neural activity increased. Muscle response improved slightly. Small signs, but real ones. She's stabilizing, a doctor said quietly, almost in disbelief. Elias let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Days passed. The girl began to sit up with support. Her broken bones were reinforced by human-designed frames that adapted to her movements. Pain still existed, but she no longer begged for it to end. She asked questions instead. What is your world like? She asked Elias one day. Messy, he replied. Loud, full of arguments, full of hope. Hope is dangerous, she said. So is living without it, Elias answered. She considered that. As she grew stronger, fragments of her memory returned more clearly. She spoke of her job as a courier, moving data between research stations. She spoke of discovering records that showed entire species erased quietly, labeled as failures. They told us it was mercy, she said, ending suffering before it spread. Elias' jaw tightened. That's not mercy, that's control. When word spread through the ship that the alien survivor was recovering, reactions were mixed. Some crew members were uneasy. Others were quietly proud. A young engineer stopped Elias in the corridor. Doc, he said, hesitating, is it true she's really going to walk again? Elias nodded. Maybe not the same way as before, but yes, she'll walk. The engineer smiled. Figures, only humans would try. One evening, alarms sounded briefly, then stopped. Elias rushed toward the bridge but was intercepted by security. External probe, a guard said. Galactic Authority, scanning. Elias' stomach tightened. The alien girl noticed the tension immediately. They are coming for me, she said softly. No, Elias replied. They're coming to be disappointed. Still, fear returned to her eyes. If they take me, she said, they will erase everything. Elias took her hand. They won't. How can you be sure? Because humans don't hide truth when it hurts, he said. We show it. The next day, a formal transmission arrived. The Galactic Authority demanded access to the survivor. The human commander refused. Instead, he opened a broadcast channel to everyone. The alien girl's testimony was shared. Her recordings, her memories, her scars, not as weapons but as truth. Other species watched in silence as the reality unfolded. Some turned away. Others leaned closer. The authority issued threats. Humans did not respond with weapons. They responded with witnesses. Inside the medical bay, the girl watched the broadcast, trembling. They are listening, she whispered. Yes, Elias said, and they can't unhear it. For the first time, she smiled. It was small and uncertain, but real. I wanted to die, she said quietly, because I thought no one would care. Elias met her gaze. Now you know better. Outside the ship, the galaxy shifted slightly. Not because of fleets or firepower, but because one broken life had been lifted instead of discarded. And humans, once again, had chosen the harder path. The ship moved forward through quiet space, but nothing inside it felt quiet anymore. Messages kept arriving from different systems, different species, different stations. Some were angry, some were confused, some were afraid. And some quietly were hopeful. Elias had not slept much. He sat beside the alien girl's bed again like he always did. Her body was stronger now. The frames around her bones had adjusted, becoming lighter, more flexible. Her breathing was steady. Her eyes were clear. She was awake when he arrived. "You look tired," she said. Elias smiled a little. "Occupational hazard." She shifted carefully, then stopped herself, remembering her limits. "They are arguing about me again, aren't they?" "Yes," Elias said honestly, very loudly. She looked down at her hands. They still trembled sometimes, but they were her hands again. Not useless, not dead. "I never wanted to cause this," she said. "I only wanted to deliver data and return home." Elias pulled a chair closer. "Most change starts that way." Outside the medical bay, the human command crew prepared for what they all knew was coming. The Galactic Authority would not allow this to continue without a final move. Truth was spreading too fast. Other species were asking questions. Old records were being reviewed. Silence was breaking. A high-level transmission arrived, marked priority. The Authority demanded a formal tribunal. They wanted the girl. They wanted Elias. They wanted the human commander to explain why humans believed themselves above galactic law. The commander read the message carefully, then looked around the room. "They're afraid," he said. An officer frowned. "They sound confident." "Confidence is often fear wearing armor," the commander replied. "They've never had someone survive long enough to speak." In the medical bay, Elias explained the situation to the girl as gently as he could. "They want you to appear before them," he said, "to answer questions." She went very still. "That is how they erase people," she said softly, "with words instead of weapons." Elias nodded. "That's how they try." She looked at him. "And you?" "I'll be there too," he said. "You won't stand alone." She closed her eyes for a moment. Memories surfaced again. Cold rooms, cold voices, pain treated as data. "I am afraid," she admitted. Elias placed a hand over hers. "That's allowed." After a pause, she opened her eyes. "But I will go," she said. The tribunal took place in neutral space, on a massive station designed to intimidate. Representatives from dozens of species attended, some in person, some through projections. Humans arrived without ceremony. No weapons raised, no threats made. The alien girl was brought in on a support frame, but she stood on her own feet. That alone caused murmurs. The Authority representative spoke first, voice sharp and controlled. "You are alive," it said. "This should not be possible." The girl looked straight ahead. "And yet it is." "You were declared non-viable," the representative continued. "Your suffering was ended according to protocol." "No," she said quietly, "it was prolonged." The room shifted. Attention sharpened. "You accuse the Authority of cruelty," the representative demanded. "I accuse it of convenience," she replied. Gasps spread. Elias stood beside her, silent but steady. "You claim humans saved you," the representative said. "Why?" The girl thought for a moment. "Because they did not ask if I was worth saving," she said. "They asked if I was alive." The Authority turned toward the human commander. "Your species interferes where it is not welcome," it said. "You destabilize systems." "Yes," the commander replied. "Unjust ones." The tribunal grew tense. Records were displayed. Data the girl had carried, proof of erased colonies, silent extinctions. Some representatives turned away, others leaned forward. The Authority tried one last tactic. "Humans are emotional," it said. "They act without logic." Elias spoke then. "No," he said calmly. "We act with values. There's a difference." The girl straightened. "My species was called weak," she said, "because we break easily, but humans break too, their bodies, their worlds, and every time they rebuild." She looked around the chamber. "You call that weakness," she continued. "I call it courage." Silence fell. The tribunal ended without a verdict. That alone was a victory. Afterward, as they returned to the ship, the girl let out a long breath. "I thought I would die there," she admitted. Elias smiled. "Seems like you're bad at that," she laughed, a real laugh. It surprised them both. In the weeks that followed, change spread slowly, then faster. Investigations opened. Protected species were reassessed. Human medical teams were invited to places once closed to them. Not everyone welcomed it, but no one could stop it. The girl began rehabilitation training. Each step hurt, but she took them anyway. Elias watched from the side, pride quietly filling his chest. One day she stood without support for a full minute. She looked at him, eyes bright. "I am standing," she said. "Yes," he replied, "you are." "What do I do now?" she asked. "That," Elias said, "is entirely up to you." She chose to speak. She traveled with human delegations. She told her story again and again, not with anger but with clarity. She became something the authority feared deeply, a survivor. One evening, as the ship drifted between stars, she joined Elias at the observation window. "I begged you to kill me," she said quietly. Elias nodded. "You did. Thank you for refusing," she said. He looked out at the stars. "Thank you for living." The galaxy would remember many things about humans, their ships, their stubbornness, their refusal to obey cruel logic, but most of all it would remember this. When a broken alien girl asked for death, a human lifted the blanket, saw the damage, and chose something harder. And because of that choice, everything changed.